Hello, everyone. So, welcome to the Crush the Cert. And so, we were before completed the part one. And in that part one, we covered, if you are able to see, so we covered till the Scrum pillars, which were transparency, inspection, and adapting. So, also, we covered about Scrum definition. And that's everything we covered in the part one. If you haven't watched that, I would suggest you have a look on that. And if you have any feedback, comment, please let us know. So let's start this video, which is part two. And we will be diving into some of the most fundamental aspects of Scrum, which are the core values, Scrum team structure, and key accountabilities that drive successful agile delivery. So let's get started. So as I told you about that, Scrum isn't just a framework, it's a mindset. And successful use of Scrum depends on five core values. So if you see here, there's a written commitment. Let me zoom it for you. So the five core values are commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage. So let's deep dive into and understand how it works. So the Scrum team commits achieving its goal and supporting each other. And their primary goal is to make the sprint in the best possible way to progress so that we can achieve the sprint goal. The Scrum team, I will come on that, and its stakeholders are open about the work and the challenges because we have covered about the pillars of the Scrum, which says that transparency is one of the pillars. So openness comes from that, and the Scrum team stakeholder are open, transparent about what are the challenges, what are the work. So the Scrum team member respect each other to be capable, independent, and are respected by the people with whom they work. So that's again a core value. So if you see respect, right? So the Scrum team, of course, we should respect each other when we are working as a colleagues because respect makes sure that we are able to put our thoughts with each other, and that's how the team should work. So this is one thing which is one of the, so we have covered that openness and respect here. Okay. So the Scrum team members have the courage to do the right thing to work on tough problem. So if you see, all these five core values are related to each other. Like if you are following the pillars, you are already transparent. So when you are transparent as a team, you it comes like openness comes up, respect comes up, then courage comes up because you are already respecting each other and you are open and you are not like hiding anything. You are already telling all the stakeholders that what are the challenges, what are blockers, so they are already aware. So nothing is hidden. Okay. So commitment, focus, openness, respect, courage. And of course, as a team, as I told you before that, our main focus is to make sure that sprint is going towards its goal. And that's why we are committed. So these values give direction to the Scrum team with regards to the work, action, and behavior. So the decision that are made, the step taken, and the way Scrum is used should reinforce these values, not diminish or undermine them. Yes. Okay. So the Scrum team members learn and explore the value they work for. That's fine. And work with the Scrum events and the artifacts. This is something we are coming next. And these values are embodied by the Scrum team and the people they work with. The empirical Scrum pillars of transparency, inspection, and adaptation come to life, building the trust. So now I'm 100% sure that it is making sense for you how the pillars are related and the how its core values come up. Okay. let's go to the Scrum team. That's very much important. Okay, so Scrum team, it's let's say like this that fundamental unit of Scrum is a small team of people, a Scrum team. This question was came in the certification exam. So if you are like appearing for it soon, so just keep an eye on this that they may ask you what is the fundamental unit of a Scrum, and the answer should be anyone. Like they can just make it in a way not like as it is, but it can change. But the content should be like a small team of people, which we call it a Scrum team. So, and we'll come over that. So the Scrum team consists of one Scrum Master, one product owner, and the developers. So these three are the Scrum team. Okay. And within a Scrum team, there are no sub teams or hierarchies. So just be mindful that's the only thing. It's a cohesive unit of professionals focused on an objective at a time. We call it a product. Okay. The yeah, as let me explain it. So a fundamental unit of Scrum is the Scrum team, and it's a small self-managing cross-functional group focused on a single product. Okay? This keep in mind because when we are building a product, then product goals should be out in the mind, right? So Scrum teams are these are cross-functional, meaning this is also out in like a exam question. So when they say that Scrum teams are cross-functional, meaning the members have all the skills necessary to create value each sprint. So it means that they already have the skills, and if they do not have the skill, they will learn, make it something like they will learn from each other and come like make that thing work. So these are already have the necessary skills to create value each sprint. They are self-managing, meaning they internally decide what, when, and how the things should be done. Okay. The Scrum team is small enough to remain nimble and large enough to complete significant work within sprint. So this is also one of the exam questions that uh, what's the preferred size of the Scrum team? So always remember it's typically 10 or less. And this is also exam question that the Scrum teams are self-managing and they internally decide who does what, when, and how. And they also have all the skills necessary to create value each sprint. Okay. In general, we have found that the reason, okay, so the Scrum says that the reason they prefer small team is because they have realized that smaller teams make communication better and are more productive. That's true also in a way. Okay. And if there is a need that Scrum teams needs to become large, they they should split into multiple cohesive Scrum team and each focused on the same product. Therefore, they should share same product goal, product backlog, and product owner. Again, exam question. So if there is a requirement, like for example, uh, if in an Amazon there is a book category and we are the product owner. So and the thing here is that we need there's a big chunk of work which needs to be completed. For that, we need like a size more than 10. Okay. So there can be generally we follow 4:1. So 4 developers, 1 tester. So similar approach, but it can vary with the team. So if there's a thing like we need 10 developers and maybe 3 or 4 testers. So in that scenario, Scrum suggests that we should reorganize into multiple Scrum team, but the team size should be 10 or less. But when we see that we make that multiple cohesive team, they should still have the same product goal, product backlog, and the product owner. It's not saying that when we split up into multiple cohesive Scrum team, the product goal will change, the product backlog will change, the product no. these three will still remain the same. Okay. The Scrum team is responsible for all the product related activities, such as, of course, they are the team which is always responsible for the activities like stakeholder collaboration, like where the requirement is coming from, or who all stakeholders are impacted due to that work they are doing. Verification, maintenance, operation, experimentation, research, development, anything else that might be required. So this can be changed as per the project, but they are responsible enough for all the product related activity they are doing. They are structured and empowered by the organization to manage their own work. They are such, okay? And working in sprint at a sustainable pace improve the Scrum's team focus and consistency. That's correct. So entire Scrum team is accountable for creating a valuable, useful increment every sprint. So if the sprint is for 2 weeks, so after every 2 weeks, we have a workable product or a shippable product or a useful product, which actually stakeholder can use that after 2 weeks. So that's something, the benefits and beauty of following the Scrum and the sprints. So the Scrum defines three specific accountabilities within the Scrum teams. The developers are accountable for their work. The product owner is responsible for the product backlog. And the Scrum Master is to make sure that foster environment for the Scrum to being conducted. We'll come on these, not to worry. So these are now the roles will are on this. So let me just quickly wrap up for you about the fundamental unit of the Scrum is the Scrum team, a small self-managing cross-functional group focused on a single product goal. There are no hierarchies here. A typical Scrum team include a one Scrum Master, one product owner, and a developer. The team is designed to be nimble, efficient, typically 10 or fewer members. When team get too large, they are encouraged to reorganize into multiple cohesive Scrum team, all aligned to one product goal and a product owner. These teams handle everything: stakeholder collaboration, product development, operations, research, testing, everything needed to create value each sprint. I repeat this line. They will do whatever it takes to create a value each sprint. You can call it value, workable product, an increment, like shippable product, whatever it takes for completing that sprint goal. I will come on that technology, but the keyword sprint goal, but yeah, whatever it takes to create a value, they will be doing every sprint. And the team is fully accountable for delivering a valuable, usable increment each sprint. Okay, so let's now talk about the developers. So developers are the people in the Scrum team that are committed to creating any aspect of usable increment each sprint. So the specific skills needed by developers are often broad and will vary upon domain of the work. However, developers are always accountable for creating a plan for the sprint that's called sprint backlog, instilling quality by adhering to a definition of done, adapting their plan each day towards sprint goal, and holding each other accountable as professionals. So let's talk about what I have read out. So developers are responsible for turning ideas into working solutions. So when we say that developers, so how it works here is that these developers will actually do the work, right? So there is no one other than them who will do the work. So for example, there is a requirement. We are Amazon team, and there's a requirement that all the books which are there, we need to uh, put some more extra information or add some more details, or like put them into some extra, like there's a new category uh, for kids, like a summer camp category, something like that. There's a requirement, whatever the requirement is. So for these requirements, they will actually figure out about how they can be completed. So of course, they will be first be reviewed by the product owner and put that into the product backlog. So they will be picking up those requirements from the product backlog, understanding what can be done in 2 weeks based on their capacity, right? And like there are few technical words, but not, just remember that they will be picking those requirements from the product backlog based on their capacity, and they will advise about creating a plan for the sprint. So when we say creating a plan for the sprint is what all we can do in this sprint based on their capacity and the historical data. So right, so they actually create a plan for the sprint. Product owner is involved, stakeholders are involved, but they are the key decision maker for creating a plan. Instilling the quality by adhering to the definition of done. We'll come to definition of done. What is it? But you remember this as they are the responsible person for making sure the quality is maintained of the deliverable they are working on, adapting their plan each day towards sprint goals. So adapting is, again, if you remember, it's one of the Scrum pillars. If you remember, one was transparency, second was inspection, third was adaptation. So adapting their plans. So when we say adapting, it can be like they can change their plan or keep on the plan based on the feedback they receive uh, during everyday meeting on the Scrum events. I will come on the Scrum events, but remember that they adapt their plan each day towards the sprint goal. So if you know adaptation, it can be based on the feedback they are working. They get feedback, they again imbibe those feedback and make sure that they are on their goal, sprint goal. It doesn't mean that they will be changing their goal, but it means adapting as per the feedback and holding each other accountable as professionals. So that's correct. So this is the main, like if you see here, we all are committed in the Scrum values, right? So we are committed and we should be accountable, as it says, for all the work which we are doing in a professional way. Okay. So let me summarize for you. So developers are responsible for turning ideas into working solutions. Their responsibilities include creating a sprint plan, number one. We call it sprint backlog, ensuring quality through definition of done. Don't worry, we will come on this definition of done, but make sure that you remember the quality keyword. Quality is the word. In the here, it's the sprint backlog is the word. And adhering plan daily to meet the sprint goal. Just remember the word sprint goal and holding each other accountable as professional. Again, their skill will vary based on the project, the domain they are working on, but they're committed to excellence, never wavers. Okay, so let's go to the next role, which is product owner. So the product owner is accountable for maximizing the value of the product resulting from the work of Scrum team. So let's understand and deep dive here. So this may vary across organization, Scrum teams, and individuals, but the key responsibility of the product owner is to maximize the value of the product resulting from the Scrum team. So whenever there is a requirement to enhance the product, so product owner take those requirements, put it into the product backlog. They work with the Scrum team and create a sprint plan. So here comes that developers create a plan for the sprint backlog, but the accountability for maximizing the value of the sprint for that product is product owner. The product owner is accountable for maximizing the value of the product resulting from those work of the Scrum team in the sprint. So the product owner is accountable for effective product backlog management. That's correct. So he will be the only one who will be managing the product backlog. So developing and explicitly communicating the product goal. So product goal should be exactly crystal clear with the team. That's the responsibility of the product owner. Creating and clearly communicating product backlog items. So product backlog, it's something product owner's responsibility. It should be, again, there shouldn't be any ambiguity in product backlog. It should be crystal clear. Ordering product backlog items. So yeah, and ensuring that the product backlog is transparent, visible, and understood. So always remember that the key here is transparency, right? There shouldn't be anything which is not transparent. It's everything should be transparent, visible, and understood. The product owner may do above work or may delegate the responsibility to other, regardless. Like if they want to delegate, they can ask the, like one of the colleague to maintain the product backlog, but when they do so, still the responsibility will be of the product owner only. Okay. So for product owners to succeed, the entire organization must respect their decision. Product owner is a big hat because ultimately they are accountable. So everyone should respect their decision because we are one team. And the value of the Scrum here is, again, if you remember, 5 value: focus, openness, respect, courage, and it was very easy, transparency. Or you can let me just go through. So uh, yeah, commitment. Sorry, commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage. Okay, so uh, it should be very much like everyone should respect their decision. So these decisions are visible in the content and the ordering of the product backlog and through the inspectable increment at the sprint review. We'll go about, we'll come to a Scrum event soon. So don't worry about the sprint review. Okay, but they are the one who orders product backlog item. Okay, the product owner is one person and not a committee. The product owner may represent the needs of many stakeholders in the product backlog. So what happens here is that let me just give a minute or two here. So when we say here that product owner may represent the needs of many stakeholders in the product backlog. So how it goes is uh, when I was managing the Amazon, uh, like a book category, and there comes a new requirement that uh, the books which we are selling, they also need some more information, like a video thing which needs to be added, or a audio book which was coming at that point of time needs to be integrated to those orders. So, like this requirement came from the business, right? So here, uh, this was something I need to add it into the product backlog, but I need to discuss with the Scrum team that this is something which we need to take up and we need to estimate how much work it will take for it to get completed, how many efforts needs to be done to make sure that this is completed. So, the product owner, which may represent the need of many stakeholders. So this is the need from the business team, which we communicate, product owner communicated to the Scrum team. And those wanting to change the product backlog can do so by trying to convince the product owner. So when there is a requirement, and if there is like if anyone wants to change anything on the product backlog, of course, only the decision maker here is the product owner. They should have a chat, and if it works, they can request. And if the decision maker shall be the product owner, and none other than that. Okay, so the Scrum Master. Nice. Scrum Master. Okay. So the Scrum Master is accountable for establishing Scrum as defined in the Scrum Guide. So they do this by helping everyone understand Scrum theory, practice both within the Scrum team and the organization. Okay. Yeah, just a minute. Okay. Yeah. So the Scrum Master ensures that the Scrum is understood and applied effectively. They lead by serving, right? So the Scrum Master is accountable for Scrum Team's effectiveness. They do this by enabling Scrum Team to improve its practices within the Scrum framework. Scrum Masters are the two leaders who lead or who serve the team and the large organization. So let's understand what all there are responsibilities. So coaching the team member in self-management and cross-functionality, that's very important. As Scrum team, they are self-managing and cross-functionality and cross-functional, helping the Scrum team focus on high-value increments that meets the definition of done. So the Scrum team should focus on their sprint goal and they should yield a high quality and increment or working product or shippable product. And that should meet the definition of done. We'll come on definition of done in next series. So causing the removal of impediments to the Scrum team's progress, that's a blockers. If there's any blocker which is holding their progress to achieve that sprint goal or everyday task, that's the responsibility of the master to make sure that impediments or blockers are removed, ensuring that all Scrum events take place are and are positive, productive, and kept within time box. That's something which we'll be covering soon. So, but remember that there are Scrum events, which is to make sure, like Scrum Master is responsible that these Scrum events are taken place, are positive, productive, and kept within the time box. So let's again recap it here. The Scrum Master ensured that the Scrum is understood and applied effectively. And they lead by serving, coaching the team in self-management, helping remove blockers, and ensuring Scrum events are focused and effective. They also support the product owner, helping refine backlog, set goals, and foster collaboration. Okay, so yeah, they are the one also helping the product owner. At an organization, Scrum Master drives adoption of Scrum practices, promotes empirical planning, and removes barrier between teams and stakeholder. Okay, so let's when we say that the Scrum Master serves the product owner in the several ways, so it's how it works is that Scrum Master find technique for effective product goal definition and product backlog management. Scrum team understand that the need for clear and concise product backlog item. That's very much important. Otherwise, they can't pick items for the sprints. Helping establish empirical product planning for a complex environment and facilitating stakeholder collaboration as requested or needed. Okay, so the Scrum Master serves the organization in several ways. They like a leading, training, coaching the organization in Scrum adoption, planning and advertising Scrum implementation within the organization, helping employees and stakeholders understand and enact as empirical approach for complex work, removing barrier between stakeholder and Scrum teams. So in like essence, the Scrum Master is a change agent and a servant leader, making agility sustainable. So that's a wrap on part two of the Scrum Guide series. We have covered the value that defines Scrum, the structure of Scrum teams, and the critical accountabilities that makes the framework work. So, and if you want to if you want to deep dive deeper, visit crashduster.com for free quizzes, certification tips, and expert-led content on Scrum, Salesforce, and PMP. And if you like it, so just share it and subscribe for part three, where we break down Scrum events and artifacts. So see you there. Bye bye.